Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Lights Out podcast. It's been a while. We have a ton to talk about. This world of combat sports, when it comes to boxing, especially MMA in this episode, continues to get crazier and crazier. And honestly, the this episode is nothing short of that, really. Nothing short of that reflection. We have a lot of announcements, and that's what we're going to start with ultimately here with my co-host Ant. We're going to start with Ryan Garcia and Connor Ben being officially announced. This is absolutely something that we've been waiting for a long time. Connor Ben recently signed with Zuffa, left Matchroom. Ryan Garcia, um, due to some contractual complications, has basically is I'm just going to try to explain it because if I try to be vague with it's even more confusing. So let me try to explain it. Basically, Ryan Garcia has to fulfill fights for Sella, which is Turkey Al Sheikh, right? So, of course, Turkey Al Sheikh, who kind of handles everything, including Zuffa, has Ryan Garcia in for this fight against Conor Ben, which is official. And it's while it does have one of Zuffa's biggest signings, one of Zuffa's biggest stars, it's not a Zuffa boxing event. It's actually a Ring Magazine event. Here's the catch: it will be taking place on Paramount Plus, so it'll be like a Paramount boxing event. We know that Paramount Boxing has been a page on social media, but a lot of us probably wondered what is Paramount Boxing there for if all they have is Zuffa Boxing? Why not just be Paramount Plus and highlight Zuffa Boxing? Seems like Paramount Boxing is going to be the home of a lot of big crossover fights. Ryan Garcia versus Connor Ben kind of being the first one that Zuffa Boxing is involved in. Now, obviously, Zuffa Boxing's first event was Canelo versus Crawford, but that's before Zuffa Boxing actually meant something. They still have a long way to go in terms of it meaning something. Nonetheless, this is kind of Zuffa's first crossover event. I guess that's how I should say it. What are your thoughts on this fight getting made, Ant? And are you excited for it?
Oh hell yeah, man, absolutely. I mean, this is a fight that we've been wanting for a good while, man. Good chunk. A lot of boxing fans have wanted this fight, and obviously, it's gonna happen on Mexican Independence weekend, so that'll be fun. Obviously, Ryan Garcia does draw in the Mexican crowd a little bit, and this is, I mean, like you said, man, this is gonna be huge for Zuffa because obviously, like we said, their last big fight was obviously Canelo and Crawford, which was huge for the sport and huge for Zuffa. And I think this fight's going to be everything that we hope for, man. I think obviously Ryan Garcia got that win over Mario Barrios for that WBC title. Obviously, his last win before that was against Oscar Duarte, but that was a KO. And the I he has to. And as for Connor Ben, obviously he retired. He retired Regis Progress, and obviously he beat Chris Eubank in the rematch in their blood feud. So it's gonna be a fun fight, man. I think there's a lot of X factors that are gonna be coming into play, and I'll definitely talk about those as we get closer and closer. But I mean, to keep it kind of vague, man, this is gonna be a really fun fight, and it's gonna be a fun time. Can't wait.
Yeah, definitely, man. I feel like the winner is probably going to go on to face Shakur Stevenson. Um, whether it's at 147 or 144, I don't know. Maybe they have a Shakur fight at 144 and then he gets up to 147. I imagine Shakur is itching to move up to 147, or at least Zuffa is itching to have him at 147, them not really being big on the junior divisions. So this is exciting, man. Like, I think Connor Ben gains a lot from a victory here, and I think Ryan Garcia gains a whole lot from a victory here as well. This is one of those big fights. It's not like the Ring Magazine Championship is on the line. It's just the WBC welterweight title. Obviously, that means something. Um, it's just one of those fights where you have two guys that are figureheads in boxing. Obviously, Ryan Garcia is a lot more of one in the United States, but Conor Benn has absolutely been someone for the past 2 years that has been up and coming in that he was a bigger dude at middleweight. Now he's at welterweight. Um, but he's always been an up and coming star that people have been trying to build. So it feels like these guys are set for a collision course that we didn't see coming. And this is going to be a banger. And yeah, probably this is going to be more comparative to Canelo versus Crawford than it is to a Zuffa card, even though it's very highly Zuffa influenced. Before we move on here, yeah, I do expect to see David Benavidez versus Jai Opataya at this point. This is our first bit of collaboration between Zuffa and Golden Boy, and obviously that's a fight that they're going to want to make and pick money up from because that's just the low-hanging fruit. We've established a relationship between Golden Boy and Zuffa, and now we can do Benavidez versus Opataya, which is, in
Yeah.
my opinion, an even bigger fight than Garcia versus Ben.
Oh, yeah. Because I mean, like we said, I mean, who's really gonna want to fight David Benavidez besides Jairo Pataya, right? I mean, everybody else is pretty much scared to death of Benavidez. So I mean, obviously we're never gonna get that Canelo fight, but hey, Opataya, man, dude, like I think Opataya is like, and we've said it before, like Opataya is one of those guys that I truly believe that he can hang with David Benavidez, but I think, and that's a big money fight too. I mean, obviously, I think Garcia and Ben might be the bigger draw in terms of revenue, but I think Opataya and Benavidez is also up there as well. Like, it's,
I think when these two fights happen, like yes, Ryan Garcia and Conor Ben is officially confirmed. Obviously, Benavidez versus Opataya is not. It's not even in talks, if I'm not mistaken, for what we know at this point in time. But I think when these two fights do transpire and are huge boxing matches that people care about, then I think it won't matter, and Shakur will be able to fight anyone over at the zone. And the world of boxing will kind of unify and operate as one. Like, yeah, you'll have Zuffa over there doing what they do, but you'll also have everybody else unified over at the zone. And when we need to make a big fight happen between the two, we can do it. We're seeing it here with Conor Ben. Very exciting stuff here. I think, these first couple of crossover events are really just going to open up the eyes to both parties in the world of boxing in terms of when you put on the biggest fights, when you don't let the money ruin it, and you do the opposite and use the money to enhance it, then people will care, which is so essential to the next generation of boxing. And it's just exciting, man. It's exciting. And we have another signing announcement here moving on. We have Teofimo Lopez, who will be fighting against Rolly Romero next month, or this month now. We will get to that. We will get to Rolly versus Teofimo. But what I do want to talk about right here is the fact that Teofimo Lopez is signed not with a promoter or a promotion. I meant to say promotion, not with a promotion. They are actually signed with DAZN, the streaming service of boxing. So Teofimo Lopez is officially signed with DAZN. This is not the first time something like this has happened. This usually is an exception that happens for huge stars, and I think Teofimo Lopez, even though he did not look very good in defeat against Shakur earlier this year, yeah, I definitely think he is a big star. He's got that, I think he will be around and here to stay. But it's interesting because it seems like this is a guy that was going to sign with Zuffa. That was kind of rumored. We didn't talk about it, but it was rumored, and it was something that I was kind of anticipating, Teofimo to sign with Zuffa. But no, that's not the case. Teofimo has signed with DAZN. So my question to you, Ant, is do you think this is going to be a lot more common, fighters signing exclusively to DAZN, the place where everyone is, instead of like Top Rank or Matchroom or something like that?
I think so, man. I think we could see more guys signed to the zone. I think that's probably where I think not only the money lies, but also like I think maybe more pay per views. I think because I mean obviously the zone's a big platform, right? Because I mean they just bought out. They pretty much have like all the big like what is it? The big promotions,
They
right?
They have everything but
pretty much
Zuffa.
everything but Zuffa. So I mean, if I'm a fighter, I mean, obviously, I'd probably jump ship to the zone. Honestly, I think the zone is probably like the best place to work. I mean, obviously Zuffa is rising up there. I mean, but like we said, they're kind of like the Ring of Honor or NXT of boxing right now. Granted, they are making some big moves, making some really big moves, but I think they're not up to the level where the zone is. I think they're kind of like right here. Like the zone's way up here. Zuffa's way like right here.
Yeah.
I think
Nonetheless, man, these
it's gonna
guys
be
are
good.
pushing each other in flux to be the best that they can be.
Yeah, man, and I think
Go ahead.
Lopez huge pickup for the zone, dude. I mean, like even after a setback against, like we said, Shakur, he's still one of the biggest stars, and he's gonna give the promotion another marquee name. So it's a huge win for him, and I think obviously we need to see that Raleigh Romero fight. So hopefully we get it, man. I mean,
He definitely got the bag. He can go 0-2 this year, and he got a bag signing with the zone. So
yeah,
congratulations to Tefimo Lopez. You're either with the zone or you're with Zuffa these days. And just to be clear, for those that aren't too familiar with this type of thing, if you're with Top Rank, if you're with PBC, if you're with Queen's Room, if you're with Match or Queensberry and Match Room, I almost said Queen's Room and Matchberry. That's hilarious. If you're with those big promotions, like anyone that is known, televised, and watched, you're with the zone. So just to be clear. And unfortunately, we have some further developments when it comes to somebody over at Zuffa, and that's Jai Opataya, the former IBF Cruiserweight champion, current Ring Magazine champion, and current Zuffa Cruiserweight champion, the one and only Zuffa champion in the world of boxing right now. Jai Opataya is officially suing the IBF for the stripping of the IBF Cruiserweight Championship. And this is really interesting here. Essentially, not getting into it too much, Opataya is more than sure that this is a corroborated attack on Opataya because he's the first quote unquote big star to sign with Zuffa. So I honestly think that Jai Opataya's next bout, which is reportedly supposed to be on that Ryan Garcia versus Conor Ben undercard, nothing confirmed yet. I think that bout will be for the IBF Cruiserweight Championship, and they are going to right a wrong and hopefully put the IBF Cruiserweight title back on Opataya. Because if not, there will be a lawsuit involved. What are your thoughts on this, Ant? And do you think Opataya should get his belt back?
the IBF has lost the damn plot, bro. Like, how are you gonna punish one of your best champions for chasing the big fights? Like, Jai Patai has done pretty much everything a world champion is supposed to do, and you're still gonna. He's defended the title, taken on some of the most dangerous opponents, and he's helped bring attention to the cruiserweight division. And you're still gonna punish him, like because of politics, like. And now you're all surprised that he wants to go to court and sue you. Like, come on, like this is everything wrong with boxing. Like, it's too we see this far too often. And I mean, the sanctioning bodies act like they're bigger than the fighters, and we talked about this before. Like, they're not. Like, obviously we hate it, the fans hate it. Like, it makes me mad, man. It really makes me mad, and I'm hoping Jai wins this lawsuit if it does go that far. And I think the IBF needs to remember one thing: the belts matter because of the fighters, not the other way around.
Yeah, I definitely think this motion here will get Opataya at least fighting for the IBF Cruiserweight Championship again.
I think he should get his belt back, but I don't know. I think he should.
Yeah, because then you're building up to this fight between Opataya and Benavidez. You can definitely have Benavidez capture the WBC Cruiserweight title because he can kind of move up and use his chip, use his light heavyweight WBC belt as a chip to fight for Cruiserweight. I could see that happening. And if that happens and Opataya gets his IBF one back, then Benavidez versus Opataya is for all the belts, all the sanctioning body belts, the Ring Magazine belt, and the Zuffa belt. Like, that's beautiful. That makes the Cruiserweight division interesting. That puts a big monster, first of all, a big monster fight for all the belts potentially down the line somewhere. But this just kind of makes things more interesting and puts things where some people would like to see them, right? There's too many belts in boxing. Let's be real. 4 sanctioning bodies. Ring Magazine is kind of like the WWE Championship, and the Zuffa belt is like the NXT Championship, right? That's the best way to explain it. But that is 6 different belts. Obviously, the Ring Magazine belt usually attaches itself to one of the sanctioning bodies, if not the Zuffa one with Opataya right now. But yeah, I think it's time to bring this thing together at cruiserweight. We're having too much fun with Benavidez and Opataya. Like, we got to bring this thing together.
Like, newsflash, you're not Jabba the Hutt. Stop sitting on your stop sitting on your belt and start serving your fighters. Like, make it valuable already. Like, Jesus.
If they don't, that Ring Magazine title is just going to find itself attached to more Zuffa belts than sanctioning body belts in 5 years, 10 years, maybe. I think with the pressure, they're going to try and optimize this thing. I think they've realized that they can't get away with what they used to get away with, which is cool.
They're not the emperor of boxing, bro. That's the problem. Like, that's the thing. They think they're. I mean, the sanctioning bodies are what make boxing, right? But at the same time, they think they have all this power and they can just punish whoever, right? No, you can't do that. Like, the fighters deserve more. Like, Opataya deserves better. I don't know, man. It just irritates me, bro. Like, keep going, or I'm gonna just keep repeating myself.
Yeah, man. I just think there's a lot of competition now, and these sanctioning bodies can't do what they once did. And I think that's for the best, man. I do like what Zuffa Boxing brings to the table. First and foremost, if we had some technical difficulties, 10 to 20 to 30 seconds of error, excuse us. It doesn't happen often, but it seems to have struck this episode. Nonetheless, we'll keep it going. I did want to point out, like, before Zuffa Boxing prelims, what we actually saw from Zuffa 9 was kind of like this Army showcase. It was like 2 amateur boxing matches between 2 Army men and 2 Army women. I think Zuffa kind of planting their roots in the amateur space to some capacity like this, especially using, the U.S. Army. Maybe next time they'll do the Navy, Air Force, the other branches of the Army. Like, I think that's cool, and I think that's a great showcase, and I think Zuffa has a lot of interesting ideas. Like, yeah, there are red flags with Dana White, the guy joining the UFC, trying to get into boxing. Like, that does bring up some red flags, but I think we can use some UFC in boxing. We could use some streamline. We could use some big fights. Anywho, he's not going to be able to do that for long, Dana White, with the way he pays his fighters at UFC, and I think it's time to let the cat out of the bag and have a huge conversation. The UFC, as Dana White took half of an eyeball off the UFC in 2026 to build Zuffa Boxing, the UFC now has the biggest competition it will probably ever face officially formed, as the PFL has merged with Most Valuable Promotions. MVP MMA, the inaugural event that featured Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano, is now merging with the PFL, which is probably the second biggest American MMA promotion right now. There's really nothing that these guys can't accomplish together, the PFL and Most Valuable Promotions. And you hear a lot about MMA fighters signing with Eddie Hearn. Ian Machado Gary signed with Eddie Hearn. Tom Aspinall, current heavyweight champion of UFC, signed with Eddie Hearn. You got to see Most Valuable Promotions and the PFL, whatever they're going to call themselves, as their next home, potentially, if UFC doesn't pony up and pay. If UFC doesn't pony up and pay anyone, then that fighter will just find themselves on the other side. There's an actual other side now with a serious financial backing, and with the PFL, a current guard of divisions, rankings, and championships. What are your thoughts on this big merging? What do you think the future of UFC is? Obviously, UFC is fine and dandy. They have a event almost every Saturday, if not every Saturday. But this is serious stuff, man. These fighters are going to have to get paid because if not, then they're going to go find work elsewhere with this new global force.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, I even have a note here. It said, literally the title of my notes is MVP and PFL merger. Is this the biggest threat to the UFC since Pride and Strikeforce? And obviously, the MMA landscape has changed. I mean, this merger between MVP and PFL could be a serious attempt to.
Oh, looks like we got some more technical difficulties. I think what Ant was trying to get at here while he finds himself back is this is big. This is huge. This is definitely the push that Dana White needs. Some folks may say that the UFC has found itself in complacency. Let me say something here. It's still entertaining in its complacency. I know that a new era has ushered into the UFC, and it's found its way to continue being the premier combat sports promotion. Well, now it's really going to have to kick it in the next gear because the competition is going to breed excellence, not only in the world of pro wrestling, not only in the world of boxing, but now in the world of MMA officially. And honestly, I couldn't be more excited. I couldn't be more excited. And is there anything else you have to add, my good sir?
Yeah, man. I apologize. There was some background noise that I had to kind of mute.
Absolutely no worries.
But anyways, what I was saying was, I mean, yeah, I mean, this could seriously be a huge threat to the UFC because, like we said, I mean, they actually have a place to work now. These guys that are unhappy with the UFC, like, they have like a new place to work. And obviously, I have a little note here with the Pride FC comparison because I mean, obviously, like when we look back at Pride, obviously they weren't just another promotion. I mean, obviously you had guys like Fedor, Wanderlei Silva, Crow Cop, Nogueira, Shogun, etc. And at its peak, Pride had arguably the best heavyweight division at the time. I mean, if we go back in time, like 2000s, it was Pride all day, man. Like Pride FC was the best at in the 2000s, and then Strike Force. Obviously, you had some of the biggest names obviously come over from Strikeforce to the UFC, like Cormier, Rousey, Diaz, Lawler, Rockhold, and obviously they bought him out. I don't think in this case the UFC is going to be able to buy out the MVP or PFL, but I think this is where it gets interesting because unlike Pride and Strikeforce, MVP isn't just trying to compete with the UFC by signing fighters. They're actually trying to compete by doing doing a different business model, a bigger entertainment partnership, cross promotions, and of course boxing and MMA under one roof. So I mean, and then obviously the mainstream attention, and whether we love it or hate it, right? Obviously, you know my opinions on Jake Paul, but I think this is bringing mainstream attention to the sport because now you're making people actually care about MMA. I mean, obviously the UFC does do that, but they only do it with certain big fights. They don't do it with every big fight. Like obviously we can obviously point to one, obviously the Conor McGregor fight that just happened, and that was we won't get into that. But I mean, I think this could. I do have one more note here about how this could affect the UFC. I think fighter pay is obviously going to be a huge one. Like I said, mainstream is attention's obviously going to be huge. I think they're going to make people care about the fights. Obviously, the merger is definitely expected to bring together MVP's media strategy, obviously with the PFL's MMA infrastructure. So that's going to be huge. And obviously, we're going to get more big fights. We could even get like ex UFC fighters going over too. I mean, can you imagine if guys like Aspinall or even like John Jones, if that ends up happening, like they go over to the PFL and they fight somebody like Ngannou and we get that fight. Like it's gonna be interesting. Like And obviously, the UFC cannot ignore them forever. Obviously, we saw the interview with Dana White where he dismissed MVP as competition. But honestly, the UFC is still far ahead. But I think the PFL, this merger could really put the UFC on their heels, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Did
man.
that make
Well,
any
here's the
sense?
thing. Absolutely. Here's the thing, though. Dana White is not in the driver's seat for the world of boxing, right? He has to work with the current guard of boxing, and that's a good thing. He's not in the driver's seat. He's probably in the back seat. Um, in MMA, in the world of MMA, Dana White is in the driver's seat. And Dana White knows, and I think truly at heart, Dana White is a fight fan. And Dana White is going to initiate and facilitate the growth of MMA in this case. If we have a big fight, if we have an established star on the other side, and we have an established fighter in the same weight division in the UFC side, I could see Dana White absolutely going for a collaborative event with the PFL or MVP, whatever they're going to call it, right? The MVPFL. Um, it's cool. It's exciting. I think MMA needs this right now. I think MMA is big enough to foster two big leagues, especially two leagues that are trying to do something totally different. Kind of like that fighting in the PFL means something different than it does fighting in the UFC, right? Like they have a different structure. I think that's cool. And I think we have a good opportunity to see another boom for MMA right now, not just for the UFC, but for MMA as a whole.
I
It's
think the big
beautiful.
question leading into this is, can they create stars, bro? I mean, because obviously the UFC became what it is because of guys like Ortiz, McGregor, Rousey, Jones, GSP, Lesnar. I mean, MVP. I mean, really, all they have is Ngannou and Usman Nurmagomedov, and then a couple others.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
they have what
that's
they
the big
need.
challenge.
They're not exactly firing the way the UFC is. I will say the PFL. Nonetheless, they have what they need. They have the Francis Ngannou and John Jones fight. Jake Paul said that he wants to fight Nate Diaz. I'm sure that will happen. There is a lot going on that can work in the favor of this new MMA promotion, whatever it's called, especially Eddie Hearn. I could see Eddie Hearn sending a lot of UFC fighters who want more money over to the other side.
Yeah, for
We'll
sure.
get into more MMA stuff as time goes on. We definitely have the next big UFC show to preview, so we'll definitely get back talking more MMA in just a second here. Nonetheless, man, this is humongous. UFC finally has a direct competitor at the same scale as them. We don't know what the promotion is going to be called. I doubt it continues to be called the PFL. I could just see it being called MVP MMA, honestly.
Yeah, same.
But we'll see. We'll see. Time will tell. We can only speculate so much, right?
Sure, for sure.
The last announcement here pertains to a big Tokyo boxing match that will take place on the 27th of September as Takuma Inoue will defend his belt against Tenshin Nasukawa. This will be their second fight, again, taking place in Tokyo. Looks like I'm getting up early in late September to watch this big fight. It's a very exciting fight. Okay, those are our announcements, fellas. We had a lot to talk about, right? We got the first crossover Zuffa event. We got the first direct competitor to UFC being announced. I really hope we did it justice. It's just this world of combat sports really does continue to blow my mind. I love doing this show, and let's talk about what we missed since the last time we spoke. We had a pretty busy weekend. 3 big shows, 2 of them on the same day. It was Saturday, July 25th, midday in Saudi Arabia when we had the big comeback event of Anthony Joshua. This thing had quite the undercard. 6 matches on the undercard, 7 total matches on the main card when you include Joshua versus Prenga. I'm going to go up the list here. We'll probably talk a little bit about the co-main, I guess. We had Nishant Dev defeat Cesar Diaz by KO in a middleweight bout to open up the main card. We had the number 8 super middleweight in the world, Jacob Bank, fight next against Powell August. He won that fight by decision. And then we had Rito Susumi, who is a fun fighter right now. He defeated Alvino Herrera by knockout, another fun knockout there. And then we get to two title fights before we get to the main event. We had the number 6 junior middleweight in the world, Josh Kelly, defend his IBF junior middleweight. Yarko. He was able to win by decision, but this was a close fight. This was a technical, entertaining junior middleweight bout. That junior middleweight division continues to entertain in 2026 for sure with Josh Kelly and Agyarko, who did put up a good fight. I wouldn't mind seeing this fight again. It was highly technical and it was closer than a lot of people think. And then in the co-main here, we were able to see Hamza Shiraz defend the WBO super middleweight title for the first time successfully, winning by decision against Simon Zakenhuber. Good showing here by Shiraz. Looking for a big fight for him next for sure in that super middleweight division, whether it's Edgar Berlanga, whether it's Jaime Munguia. And then that main event, of course, the return of Anthony Joshua. Last time we saw Anthony Joshua, he was kicking Jake Paul's ass. And everyone was saying, thank you, AJ. Thank you, AJ. Now he's back against a big puncher. This is a guy, Christian Prenga, that knocked down AJ twice within the first 2 rounds. Anthony Joshua did find the connection and did get the knockout to secure the big money fight against Tyson Fury later this year. Tyson Fury also fought in the Philippines this past weekend. Nobody saw it, but he obviously won easily. This was a stay busy fight. I think it was in Thailand, not the Philippines, if I'm mistaken. So sorry about that.
It was
yeah, Thailand. Sorry. So sorry. But now the board is set, right? Tyson Fury has won 2 fights in 2026. Anthony Joshua has successfully returned impressively against Christian Prenga, not before hitting the canvas twice. And now we got Tyson Fury versus AJ. And this is a fight that can go either way. This still feels like a big fight in 2026. Are you ready for this fight, Ant?
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, this is the fight to make. Obviously, this is probably the biggest British fight, or even like heavyweight fight, like within the last like couple years that I can remember. I mean, obviously for me, like the biggest British heavyweight rivalry has definitely been Conor Benn and what's his name? Fuck me,
Nigel Benn.
Yeah. It was Conor Benn and the other guy. I forgot his name, but
well, that's been a while, dude. That's
it's been a
probably
while.
you can't remember because it's been a minute. But
because I mean that rivalry was obviously built from the past, right? I mean, oh yeah, Chris Eubank Jr. There you go, Chris Eubank Jr. Like that rivalry built itself, obviously, because their dads were pretty big and pretty famous. I mean, we haven't seen a big star in the UK. I mean, I'd argue since like the Ricky Hatton days. I mean, I don't know. That's just me though. But I mean, Tyson Fury.
This is definitely, I will say, a crowning moment for either Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua. Obviously, Alexander Usyk was the king of the heavyweight division this generation, but I do think either Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua gets a full head of steam in this fight for Britain.
For sure. Obviously, it makes sense to have this fight in Wembley, bro. I mean, there's no bigger venue, a more important venue in the UK to have it than at Wembley Stadium if they end up doing that.
They got to do Wembley. They have to do Wembley. They literally put a Battle for Britain champion. What is it? The Battle for Britain Championship or something like the Fight for Britain Championship.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously it's not an actual belt. It'll kind of be a commemorative belt that's given to the winner of this fight. And then the winner of this fight is good to honestly probably face the winner of Usyk versus Deontay Wilder. Obviously, we haven't gotten a confirmation yet, but Zuffa Boxing is trying to crown their heavyweight champion between Usyk and Deontay Wilder. Obviously, the Ring Magazine Heavyweight Championship will be attached to that as well if it is to go through. But you have an opposition. You have the next fight ready if you are going to do Usyk versus Wilder. So these are fights that we were supposed to see like 10 years ago for sure. But I'm very excited, man. I think Moses Atama is a rising heavyweight star in the UK. I think he'll be in the mix sooner rather than later. But everything is falling into place on the side of Fury and Joshua. and then we'll get that confirmation hopefully sooner rather than later with Usyk and Wilder. That would be great.
Yeah, man.
Another big main event happened right this past Saturday, and it was put on by the PBC. Of course, its undercard was completely raided with cancellations, so we're just going to keep it to the main event here. But this was the first PBC show to be a part of DAZN, and we will talk about the second that is coming up soon enough. Tell us about Spence versus Tszyu, Ant.
It was as I expected. I mean, obviously, Tszyu was obviously going to come in really like had something to prove. Obviously, since the Fundora fight, I mean, this is obviously it went to a decision. Scorecards, I actually have them right in front of me: 118, 110, 117, 111, 117, 111. And my takeaways are definitely Tszyu definitely controlled this pretty much most of the fight with pressure, the body work, and clean combinations. And Spence pretty much was gone after nearly 3 years away from the ring. And honestly, I don't blame him for hanging it up after this fight. It was clear from the get go when I was watching this fight that Spence was just like he had nothing left. Like one of boxing's best simply just wasn't there, bro. And obviously following the loss, Earl Spence has announced his retirement. So that is pretty much the final time we're ever going to see Earl Spence in a ring. And my thoughts on this felt like passing a very good passing of the torch moment. Obviously, Zoo proved he belongs among boxing's elite, especially after bouncing back with a win like this. And while it was tough watching Spence lose, you have to give respect to him, bro. Obviously, he's done a lot, and this is the best way to go out, man. On your shield, on your terms, and you can't say you didn't get. At least you can't say you didn't get embarrassed. I mean, and obviously Spence's resume, it remains outstanding despite finishing off with the loss. But I mean, it was a good fight for what it was. I mean, it was a fun scrap. I mean, it was pretty much one side as you can get. But I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking. I was expecting going in, honestly.
Let's hope the second PBC show on DAZN does not disappoint. Because yeah, I think this one had a lot of anticipation. We did get an answer for the main event. Tim Tszyu was much better, and he is ready for a big fight. I think he's ready for a world title at middleweight. Absolutely. And then, this undercard really fell apart. This was advertised as a big USA versus Australia show, and the co-main and the fight that was going to usher in the co-main both got canceled for different reasons. So we'll see what happens here. But yeah, nonetheless, man, Tim Tszyu is ready for a big fight. That's that's my takeaway. I think early 2027 we'll see a big Tim Tszyu fight, if not the end of the year, if he's crazy enough. Now we head over to Zuffa, which took place 24 hours later, right? 2 big shows on Saturday. Zuffa 9 took place on Sunday, the 26th of July. This was a 3-fight main card here. This was at the theater. It's a much smaller theater that's attached to Madison Square Garden, and that's where Zuffa 9 took place, technically not at the Garden itself, but at the small theater attached to it. The main event saw Edgar Berlanga get a TKO over Stephen Butler, a questionable TKO. This was the first ever super middleweight bout for Zuffa Boxing. Whether or not they want to have a super middleweight division on the Zuffa shows itself is beyond me. I could definitely see this being a tune-up for Edgar Berlanga, and then they go and find a big fight for him, whether it's Jaime Munguia, maybe a rematch against Hamza Shiraz. We'll see what happens there. And the co-main was actually more interesting to me. I was very excited to see Richardson Hitchens versus Ricardo Salas. Ricardo Salas is kind of a middle-class fighter there in that welterweight division of Zuffa. He's got himself a win before he found himself against Richardson Hitchens. And unfortunately, Richardson Hitchens was just too much for Salas, as Richardson Hitchens in the co-main gets a pretty impressive welterweight fight, his first welterweight fight. So we'll probably see him get a rank hopefully sooner rather than later. Maybe he's got to fight one big fight at welterweight. He can crack that top 10. And yeah, I look forward to seeing more of Richardson, Hitchens, and Zuffa. And I know Zuffa wants to make money with him, so they're going to put him in big fights. And that's just how they work over there. So that's what I am excited for. And then, of course, the opening fight of the main card was Jaleel Hackett getting a decision victory over Sergey Derevianchenko. Hopefully I said that correctly. We had 3 great showcase fights for Jaleel Hackett, Richardson Hitchens, and Edgar Berlanga. I'm sure 1 or 2 of these guys will be back ready to sell out the actual Madison Square Garden sooner rather than later, as these guys are New Yorkers. We don't have to wait long for our next Zuffa event, as it will be the first big show of the month of August in terms of boxing and MMA. We have Zuffa Boxing 10 coming on the 8th of August. We have a 5-match main card here for Zuffa Boxing 10, which will be taking place in Dublin, Ireland. To open it up in a 6-round cruiserweight bout, we have Patrick O'Connor taking on Ibrahim Merkan. In the second fight, we have Sam Hickey taking on Brad Axe. That'll be an 8-round middleweight bout. And then Joe Ward will face Artem Kasparian in a light heavyweight bout. That will be 10 rounds regular. Same with the co-main. The return of Callum Walsh, the Zuffa Boxing 1 main event winner, taking on Tyler Denny in the co-main. And then this is the big one, fellas. Zuffa Boxing 10's main event will be the number 6 middleweight in the world, Aaron McKenna, taking on the number 5 middleweight in the world, Etinoso Oliha, for the IBF middleweight title. Very interesting here. IBF recently stripped Opataya of the cruiserweight title, the IBF cruiserweight title, and now Zuffa Boxing will have an IBF title match in the main event of their 10th show. I think they're going to have to live in the world of the sanctioning bodies. And I think this is a point in time where the sanctioning bodies can hopefully kiss and make up with Zuffa, right? Because there's a lot of Zuffa fighters that can probably hold the IBF title in their respective divisions. At least they're building up to that. So why rob the young Zuffa fighters of that? And then why rob a big show of a big main event, right? You got the IBF middleweight title on the line, top 6 middleweight match, closing out the first era of Zuffa Boxing, the first 10 shows. And this is telling for the future. Zuffa Boxing is going to exist next to the world of boxing, alongside the world of boxing, with the world of boxing, not away from it. So this is good news to me, right? I do see like a pathway to form where the world of boxing can just be considered one. You can watch Zuffa and the Zone, essentially. Right? What are your thoughts on Zuffa 9 and the upcoming Zuffa 10 here?
Obviously, I did not get to catch Zuffa 9, but I will just give my thoughts on Zuffa Boxing 10. Obviously, Zuffa 9, I was on assignment, so let's leave it at that. I think, obviously, the fight I'm looking forward to is definitely McKenna versus Oliha, man. I think that's obviously going to be a huge money fight. Obviously, McKenna's coming off the biggest win of his career, unanimous decision title against former world title challenger Liam Smith. Obviously, he's unbeaten, so that's going to be a huge thing. But actually, both of them are undefeated, so that's even better. So somebody's has to go. Has to go. As for Oliha, man, obviously his most recent win, scoring a 3rd round win over Ivan. I'm not even gonna.
I'm not even gonna try.
The J Chick, I think, is his name. I don't know how to say his name. If I butchered it, I apologize. Obviously, this is Oliha's very first title opportunity, so this is going to be fun. Obviously,
this is probably their 3rd quote unquote big fight. We all know Zuffa has good matchmaking, but do they have top 10 fights a lot? Not really. No, not at all. You kind of watch Zuffa because you just like boxing.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't really watch for the competitive fights at least.
There is
right.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Their first big fight being Opataya versus Glenn for the Zuffa Cruiserweight Championship. I think their second big fight was also at Cruiserweight. It was between CBS, Chris Billum Smith, and Ryan Rizicki, that was a fun, legendary, epic fight. Like these fights live up to the hype, And you could tell Aaron McKenna versus Etinosa Aliha is going to live up to the hype. Like, this is going to be a fun ass fight. This is bigger than what Zuffa normally does. This is big enough where the IBF is all in on it.
Yeah. Of course, actually, there's a fight tonight. Actually, it's between Lamont
Yeah,
Roach
I'm
and
about to get to that. I'm about to get
all
to
right,
that.
yeah, all right.
Yeah. Sorry,
I guess
more fucking technical difficulties, guys. Sorry, we really hate these.
no, that's all right, man. But I mean,
Nonetheless,
anyway,
man, we'll keep it rolling. Zuffa 10 should be fun. That main event's going to be fun. It's going to be good to see
Callum
Callum
Walsh is gonna
Walsh. Yeah.
obviously gonna be one. I think obviously if for everybody who's been watching the show, obviously you know how much of a big fans we are of Callum Walsh, and obviously Tyler Denny's a perfect opponent for him. So I think that'll be a really fun scrap. This whole card is just going to be fun, bro. Obviously, Ireland has a pretty decent history of producing some big fighters. I mean, and I think this crop of these crop of Irish fighters are going to be no different, man. I think this we're in for a good time. I think obviously the Joe Ward fight is going to be good too as well. I think Ward is definitely experienced enough to continue building his momentum. And Kaspararian is obviously undefeated power puncher with 12 knockouts and 14 wins. So that's gonna be fun. And then, yeah, man. I mean, this main card is just gonna be a great show, man.
Yeah, and I think it's just the beginning. I think Zuffa plans to go back to Dublin in early 2027. You'll probably have the winner of the main event take on the winner of the co-main event, right? Both middleweight bouts. They probably want to put Callum Walsh in that main event when they go back if he wins. So they're going to have him win, right? They're going to have him earn it. Callum Walsh will earn it, and then we'll see an IBF middleweight champion crowned, and then we'll get Callum Walsh ready to win that belt, and we'll probably get the Zuffa middleweight title on the line in early 2027 when they go back to Dublin. That's not confirmed. That's just my speculation. I don't see why they wouldn't do that. They seem to enjoy doing that. It's very simple, right? Have the co-main and the main event be in the same weight division. The two winners will then fight each other. They did that with lightweight with Zuffa Boxing 5, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Let's get out of here, man. It's been almost 50 minutes. Okay. We know Zuffa is going to open up August. It's with the first big show next weekend on the 8th. Okay. After that, the weekend after that, we will have UFC 330. The main event sees the pound for pound king, Islam Makhachev, defend the UFC welterweight championship against Ian Machado Gary. And then we'll have that co-main event for the UFC women's strawweight title, Mackenzie Dern defending against Gillian Robertson. That'll be a good fight. And then we have two other big boxing matches to close out August, right? On the 22nd, we will see the second ever PBC show on DAZN. Premier Boxing Champions will have Rolly Romero defend the WBA welterweight title against Teofimo Lopez. And then on the 29th of August, we will see Moses Itama take on Filip Ergovich in a top 6 heavyweight clash. August is set to be a fun show. Obviously, we have the big Ryan Garcia versus Conor Benn coming in September, but August itself has 4 big shows. What are your thoughts about these, man? And then I will get into the August matchups of the month and then get us out of here.
Yeah, man. You forgot to mention one more thing. Obviously, tonight is Lamont Roach versus Williams.
That's part of the August matchups of the month. These are just like the full main card, big pay-per-view shows.
My bad.
Matchups are kind of just like loose matches.
My bad. Sorry for the spoilers. So.
No, you're all good. You're all good.
Anyways, let's talk. I guess I'll just mainly talk about the UFC 330. Obviously, Islam and Machado. This is gonna be interesting because I feel like this is gonna be wrestler versus wrestler, man. Obviously, I don't. It's a really close fight, man. You have to. It's close because obviously, Makhachev is infamous for getting the fight to the ground and just out wrestling and out pressuring fighters and wearing them down. And I feel like it might be the same for Ian Gary, but I mean, we don't know. I mean, the thing is Gary's gonna have to keep the fight standing. He's gonna have to really exploit the weakness of the strike of Islam striking. I mean,
yeah, I will say if Ian Machado Gary is to do the impossible and dethrone the Islam Makhachev, Ian Machado Gary is a guy that is signed to Eddie Hearn. So that would be a great risk if Ian Gary successfully dethrones the pound for pound king of UFC, Islam Makhachev. That would be very scary for Dana White. I will say that.
And then Lopez versus Romero. I mean, obviously that's another big fight. I mean, these guys are probably some of two of the best right now. In my like, well, not I don't want to say the best, but like
I think the winner of
they're
this
rivals.
fight reestablishes themselves at welterweight.
Oh
Because
yeah,
at welterweight, right, we got Garcia potentially if he's able to get past Conor Ben. We're gonna have Shakur soon, and I think Richardson Hitchens will at some point add himself to that welterweight list. But Rolly versus Teofimo absolutely kind of gives us our welterweight king, in my opinion.
sure, yeah. And I think Rolly versus Teofimo, like you said, it definitely reestablishes them. Like one of these guys is gonna definitely reestablish themselves. And then Ergovich versus Itama, that'll be a really good one too. I mean, obviously, Itama is one of the boxing's hottest heavyweight prospects right now, and he's obviously infamous for his ability to rack up stoppage victories. And Ergovich, obviously, he's hit or miss with him. I mean, he's a veteran contender with world class experience, and I think Atama's gonna probably get the job done. I think Ergovich is probably. I mean, I don't want to say on his way out, but I mean, it seems like it. I don't know. I mean,
It'll definitely be a big test for Moses Atama. It's put
yeah,
up or shut up for Moses Atama, the
yeah.
young Moses Atama.
We can't not underestimate Ergovich, bro. Because I mean, obviously we've done it before where we've doubted him and he ends up proving us all wrong. So I mean, this is a huge test for Moses Atama, bro. Like for sure, like
Yeah,
huge.
and if he wins, I think he'll find his next fight for the IBF Heavyweight Championship. And I think that's perfect, right? I think that's where the IBF wants to be. They want to be on the young, up and coming heavyweight of the division.
Yeah, man.
Anywho, let's get into these August matchups of the month, and then we will get us out of here. Time to watch some SummerSlam, some pro wrestling. Go watch our SummerSlam preview and predictions if you haven't seen them already. August matchups of the month. This is a pretty busy weekend. Okay, August 1st, today at the time of this recording, we'll see the quote unquote the fight from DAZN. DAZN likes this new the fight tagline. It was originally a Top Rank thing on the 4th of July last month, and now it will be a Golden Boy promoted show. So the fight in the main event will have Lamont Roach taking on William Zepeda, Lamont Roach defending the WBC lightweight title. And then the co-main will see Raymond Murataya versus Robson Conquesiao in the IBF for the IBF lightweight title. So we will be seeing two lightweight championship fights this evening at the time of this recording. The first that'll be on DAZN. The fight promotion is Golden Boy once again, and then of course Zuffa 8 has it, or Zuffa 10, I'm sorry, has its spot. That'll take place on the 8th of August. That'll be next Saturday. The main event finds itself on the August matchups of the month, brought to us by Ring Magazine. On the same day, we will have an MVP women's show as Carnessa Johnson will defend the undisputed bantamweight championship against number one contender Dina Thorsland. On the 15th, we will see more women's boxing as Kay Scott defends the unified middleweight championship against the greatest woman of all time, Clarissa Shields. And then on the 21st, we will see Amanda Serrano defend the ring and unified featherweight championship against Lucrecia Mansour. That is another MVP women event. And then, of course, 24 hours later, we do have the Rolly Romero versus Teofimo Lopez match that we just talked about. And then on the 29th, not only do we have Moses Atama versus Filip Hrgović, but we actually have a third MVP women's event that made the Ring Magazine matchups of the month. In the co-main, it will be Carolina Dubois defending the Ring and Unified Lightweight Championship against Amelia Moore. And then that main event will be Michaela Meyer taking on Chantel Cameron for the Unified Middleweight Championship. MVP Women's having three big shows, all three of those main events in one co-main, ending up on the Ring Magazine matchups of the month. Just a testament to what they're doing with women's boxing. We also got Clarissa Shields happening in the middle of the month. She's fighting at middleweight this time. Good times, man. Good times. talked about the shows. We talked about the matchups. Shit, man, good times.
Good times, bro. I mean, it's a fun. Like we said, it's always what a time to be alive to be a boxing fan. I mean, yeah, man. I mean, it's always fun to do this show, man. To do this show. I mean, obviously, I enjoy talking boxing and MMA with you. I mean, it's been a busy month, bro. It really has. This month's been real busy, especially with boxing and MMA. And I think we're not stopping anytime soon, bro. I mean,
yeah, man. We got a big UFC main event coming up with UFC 330. We got Zuffa Boxing 10, which will usher in a new era for Zuffa, I reckon. And then we have, Rolly Romero coming back, Moses Atama fighting this month. A lot of women's boxing, especially out of MVP women's, as well as a Clarissa Shields fight. We got a lot this month, and we're gonna have a good time. We'll probably be back to talk Zuffa 10 next week and preview UFC 330. Hopefully, we have the main card by then in its entirety. This has been the Lights Out podcast. You want me to sign out, Ant?
Go ahead, brother.
All right, bro. Rest in peace to the big homie Carlos Carrasco. Rest in peace to those that we have lost recently. This has been a good time, man. Got a lot going on. It's a good time to be a combat sports fan. Yeah, man. Sorry, my outros are the worst.
I'll help you out a little bit, bro.
Thank you, bro.
We'll give a shout. I'll give a shout out to. I want to give a shout out to my brother here, Mr. Matt. I want to give a Cervantes, man. I want to give a shout out to him. Wrestling's bullshit. This dude's the best host in the fucking world right here. I want to give a shout out to San Antonio. I want to give a shout out to Colorado. I want to give a shout out to some really good close friends of mine in Hawaii. Love y'all.
Shout out to all the trees and plants and mountains in Colorado.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not shouting out any of the people here, but shout out to the trees, the mountains, and the plants.
All right, man. But this is. I don't want to make this outro too long, but this has been the Lights Out podcast. We will see.
I got you. Ready? I got the outro. Ready? This is the outro. This has been the Lights Out podcast. Go do something with your life, you little bitch.
All right, man. Boom. Woo! Let's go, man.